In 1945, one man had done more to win World War II than almost any general, any weapon, or any army. He had cracked the unbreakable code. He had saved, according to historians, somewhere between 14 and 21 million lives. He had shortened the war by an estimated 2 years, and 7 years later, the country he saved arrested him, prosecuted him, chemically castrated him, and according to most accounts, drove him to his death. His name was Alan Turing, and this is the story that history almost buried. Chapter 1: The Code That Couldn't Be Broken. To understand what Turing did, you first need to understand what he was up against. By 1939, Nazi Germany had a secret weapon that had nothing to do with tanks or planes. It was a machine, the Enigma. German military communications were encrypted using this device, a typewriter-like machine with rotating wheels that scrambled every single letter into a different letter each time it was pressed. The combinations were staggering. 158 quintillion possible settings. Every day at midnight, the settings changed, which meant even if the Allies somehow cracked the code on Monday, they had to start all over again on Tuesday. British intelligence intercepted thousands of encrypted German messages every single day, and they could read none of them. The Nazis were so confident in Enigma that they communicated everything through it: troop movements, submarine positions, supply routes, attack plans, and the Allies were deaf to all of it. Then Alan Turing arrived at Bletchley Park. Chapter 2: The Man They Didn't Expect. Turing was 27 years old when he joined the government code and cipher school in 1939. He was, by most accounts, profoundly unusual. Not in a charismatic Hollywood hero way, in a quiet, relentless, almost alien way. He chained his coffee mug to his radiator so no one would steal it. He wore a gas mask on his bicycle rides to work, not because of an attack, but reportedly because of his allergies. He set his watch by checking the stars at night. His colleagues found him difficult to understand. His mind worked differently, and that difference was exactly what the problem required. Because Enigma wasn't going to be cracked by the best traditional codebreakers. It was going to be cracked by someone who understood that the problem wasn't linguistic. It was mathematical. Turing understood that Enigma had a fundamental flaw. No letter could ever be encoded as itself. An A could become a B, a C, a Z, anything but A. That single constraint, in the hands of the right mathematical mind, was enough to begin unraveling the entire system. Chapter 3: The Bomb. Turing's solution was a machine. It was an electromechanical device designed to run through possible Enigma settings at a speed no human team could ever match. The idea was simple in concept, revolutionary in execution. Feed the machine a suspected phrase, something that might appear in a German military message, and let it eliminate impossible settings automatically. The bomb didn't decode messages directly. It eliminated wrong answers until only the right one remained. It was, in essence, the first practical application of computational logic to a real-world crisis. And it worked. By 1941, Bletchley Park was reading German naval communications regularly. By 1943, the operation had expanded to over 200 bomb machines running 24 hours a day. The intelligence they produced was classified under the codename Ultra, and Ultra changed everything. Chapter 4: What the Bombe Won. The Battle of the Atlantic was one of the most critical and most forgotten theaters of World War II. German U-boats were systematically destroying Allied supply ships crossing from North America to Britain. By early 1941, Britain was facing genuine starvation. Turing's work on naval Enigma allowed the Allies to reroute convoys away from waiting submarines. The losses dropped dramatically. The supplies kept coming. Britain stayed in the war. Historians who have studied ultra-intelligence estimate that the work done at Bletchley Park shortened World War II by at least 2 years. Some say longer. 2 years earlier means the war ends before the full implementation of certain Nazi extermination programs. The numbers of lives saved run into the millions. The exact figure is debated. What isn't debated is this: without Turing, the war looks different, profoundly, catastrophically different. General Dwight Eisenhower later said that ultra-intelligence was decisive in the Allied victory. Alan Turing was the architect of that intelligence, and when the war ended, he received no public recognition, no medal ceremony, no official acknowledgement of any kind, because everything he did was classified. The man who helped win the war went home in silence. Chapter 5: The Arrest. In January 1952, Alan Turing reported a burglary at his home in Manchester. He told the police that a man he knew had let someone into his house. The police asked questions, and Turing, apparently with no understanding of the danger he was placing himself in, answered honestly. He told them about his relationship with the man he knew. He was 39 years old. He had helped save Western civilization, and he had just confessed to a criminal offense. In 1952, homosexuality was illegal in the United Kingdom under the 1885 Criminal Law Amendment Act, the same law that had destroyed Oscar Wilde 60 years earlier. Turing was charged with gross indecency. He pleaded guilty. His legal team reportedly advised him that admitting to the relationship was the only realistic path forward. He may not have fully understood what came next. Chapter 6, The Punishment. Turing was given a choice: prison or chemical castration through a course of synthetic estrogen injections, a treatment called chemical castration, intended, according to the government's logic, to eliminate homosexual urges. He chose the injections. The treatment lasted 1 year. According to accounts from those who knew him, the effects were profound and humiliating. He developed gynecomastia, the growth of breast tissue. His body changed in ways that reportedly devastated him. The man who had processed more complex information than almost anyone alive was being subjected to something medieval. His security clearance was revoked. His access to the cryptography work he had continued after the war was terminated. He was barred from consulting for the government he had saved. Chapter 7, The Apple. On June 8, 1954, Alan Turing was found dead in his home. He was 41 years old. The cause of death was cyanide poisoning. Next to his body, according to reports, was a half-eaten apple. The coroner ruled it suicide. Some who knew him challenged that conclusion. His mother insisted until her death that it was an accident, that Turing had been conducting chemistry experiments in his home and had accidentally inhaled cyanide fumes. Others have pointed to the deliberate staging of the apple as a reference to Snow White, a fairy tale Turing had reportedly been fond of. The truth of his final hours remains, according to historians, genuinely uncertain. What is not uncertain is the context. A man who had been prosecuted, chemically altered, stripped of his work and isolated, was found dead at 41. Whatever the exact mechanism, the country he saved had destroyed him. Chapter 8, The Legacy They Tried to Bury. For decades, almost everything Turing did remained classified. The existence of ultra-intelligence wasn't publicly confirmed until 1974, which meant that for nearly 30 years after his death, the full scale of what Turing had accomplished and what had been done to him was unknown to the public. When his story began to emerge, the reaction was one of profound moral discomfort. Here was someone who had given everything, whose work had arguably changed the outcome of the most destructive conflict in human history, and his country had rewarded him with prosecution, chemical experimentation, and professional destruction. In 2009, British Prime Minister Gordon Brown issued a formal apology. He called Turing's treatment appalling and acknowledged that Britain owed him an enormous debt. In 2013, Queen Elizabeth II granted Turing a posthumous royal pardon. In 2021, his face was placed on the British £50 note. There is a theory, popular, unverified, disputed by Apple's own designers, that the bitten Apple logo of Apple Incorporated is a tribute to Alan Turing. Apple has said it isn't, but the image endures. A half-eaten apple, the man who cracked the uncrackable code, the father of computer science, found dead at 41, pardoned 60 years too late. The same country that calls him a hero today prosecuted him, chemically castrated him, and stripped him of everything. That is the truth about Alan Turing, and it is one that every person who uses a computer, a smartphone, or any digital device carries with them, whether they know it or not. If this changed how you see history, share it with someone who needs to know. Subscribe to Hidden Legends, because every legend hides a darker story. The truth has always been there, hiding in plain sight. If this changed how you see history, share it with someone who needs to know. Subscribe to Hidden Legends, because every legend hides a darker story.